our ultimate launch date is July 1st. Uh, it might still feel like, well, I've still got a little bit of time, but I think today perhaps you'll see the importance of being thoughtful about getting things going as early as possible because there's other people who have very busy lives and they'll need to know what you need them to do as well. So this all comes back around to this whole idea of the whole vision of Rotary. And that vision is very clear when it comes to being together and what we see when we're together. Together, we see a world where people unite, united for good, as President Mario tells us, and that togetherness brings about the unity, and the unity brings about the action, and the action brings about the change, and the great part of this is as that change happens in the world, it's also happening in our communities and it's happening in ourselves as well. So let's see. I'm doing one more little thing here just for good recording sake. There we go. All right. So you've heard my together. That's based right there in that vision statement. Together we, and the whole concept behind it is doing together what can't be done alone. You can do an awful lot alone, but really when it comes down to it, it's what we're doing together that will have the greatest impact. In fact, it will multiply what you're able to accomplish.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. Around the world, generations of leaders build new friendships and solve problems, turning great ideas into reality. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.
Just the simple reminder, we're people of action. We're doing things together. When we come together, watch out what happens. So we're going to talk about club leadership because that's really what teamwork is. In order for there to be a team, there needs to be a leader, and that's you. And just reflecting on this in the last couple of days, I put this together. Obviously there's a lot of little discussions about how if you're going forward and no one's following you, you're just out taking a walk kind of a thing. Well, I've adjusted that a little bit into my thinking. If you're busy but no one else is doing anything, if you're doing so much as a club president, but the rest of your club members are just showing up without doing a whole lot, you have no team. There's the reality of it all. And because of that, your impact will be very limited. So the team is vital. So today we'll talk about recruiting and delegating and how do we hold people accountable, and then a little bit about coaching, just some of the best practices in the midst of all of that. So the overall question is who should be on my team? And you might still be thinking, wait, it's still early April. No, people are already thinking about what they're going to be doing here this next year. They've got their lives that they're trying to sort through. And what I have found in the Rotary world is the longer you wait, even if you're making assumptions that, well, these people are already on the team, they might have been thinking all along, I'm going to be finished at the end of this Rotary year. I'm not going to do this anymore. I've done this a couple of years. That's all I was committed to do. And what you might find is a surprise that, you might have a number of openings that you weren't expecting. Other people kind of make up their mind just by being excluded. Well, he didn't say anything to me. She didn't ask me if I was going to continue on. And so I've already found other things to do. And therefore, teamwork is very important. So, who should be a part of the team? There are some requirements that come along from Rotary. We've got our constitution that we all abide by, and in there, of course, you need officers: president, treasurer, secretary. Those are the vital roles in the wording in our Rotary Constitution that is supposed to be approved. Those individuals for the next Rotary year by December 31st. And there's some of you who might be thinking, well, I just found out this last month that I'm going to be president next year. So how can all of this happen? Well, that's the best world. Keep putting the team together, keep working on this. The officers, of course, you're working with the current president to make sure these are all in place. But then you, as the president-elect, will have a huge role in doing this next year and making sure those other roles go along. So those are three officer legal positions that you have no choice in doing. In fact, if you do not submit names for these, you're going to start getting some contacts from Rotary International because it is that important that we function with these key roles in our clubs. And hopefully, the past president, they are generally some of the greatest assets in a club because they have current knowledge of the condition of the club, and you can really work with them. So those are the Rotary requirements. Then there's some other individuals who are part, and by the way, those are the officers. And then we've got the whole world of the chairs and the common chairs where if a club's going to grow, these are definitely what is necessary. A membership chair, someone focusing on membership all the time. Uh, what do we have here? The Rotary Foundation chair. And I think I was moving things around a little bit yesterday. And then the public image is what one of those should say in the midst of our look. And then Rotary also makes some other suggestions, and this is really the success part. When your club becomes successful, you probably got someone looking out after all of these things. Program who are top-notch speakers that can come and talk to our club. What should we be doing when it comes to service and then fundraising? How will we keep doing more things, and how will we make sure our money gets multiplied? And then there's also the events chair. Are there activities that are gone, and right on down the line? And then finally, community service. Are we making a difference in our community? Are we being organized to do these things? Now, depending on the size of your club, all of these roles might be just one person championing them. Or if you have a larger club, then you have others who can jump in and be part of a committee or a team, if you will, who can serve alongside them. I remember the day I was inducted into my club in Sharpsburg, Aspinwall, Pennsylvania, way back in 1989. I had just done my deal and I had sat down and I had enjoyed my lunch. And after that, uh, two members came up to me and said, "So which committee are you going to be on?" It's like, what do you mean? Which committee am I going to be on? Well, we're all on different teams. We're all on different committees. Which one would you like to be? Well, what are my options? And and slowly my eyes were open to the world of Rotary. And you might not have requirements like that in your club, but that ask is important, especially right when people are new to the club. So, with that said, I'm just kind of interested about you. What role are you most concerned about filling? And go ahead and share with everyone if you'd like to unmute yourself and just you might be surprised you're not alone in that boat, whatever it might be.
I can go.
Sure.
Um, I'm most concerned about filling my president electoral. So many people, sorry, I don't know if my camera's looking okay or not, but
It is.
so many people in our club have already been president, or they're not physically present in Minnesota Monday or January through March, or they're traveling, or they're shy, which I feel like I could talk them into because we have a ton of support from year to year. Past presidents, we have so many past presidents. There's a lot of support, but that's the role. I don't seem to have a very long list of candidates.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and innovation might be key. You might need to have a winter president and then the rest of the year president, kind of a co-president type of situation. And who knows? There's ways, and uh, people's situations change too. Yeah. Anybody else? What's the concern? What's the role you're concerned about?
Well, Mark, this is Inez. I can go.
Hmm.
Um, we've got a somewhat large club. It's 41. We're down in Egan. And what I've been doing is going through and just like I remember what you said about getting people on committees and just identifying who was not on a committee took a little bit of work. But I want to make sure that everybody is assigned to something. We have a 5K that a lot of people are on, but that's like hardly any work. I mean, it is work, but you just do it for a short period of time and then you're off. So getting people on the committees, like you said, and then actually having them stick to stay in their lane. So in other words, we don't have people veering off and doing what's actually another chair's job. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but I sort of hope to train everybody to think like that this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the great parts about that is you were mentioning, just checking and seeing who's on what types of committees is it's a great way as a president to familiarize yourself with your members. And you might feel like, well, I really know who they are, but then you come across this name that just doesn't ring a bell. And why is that? Have they been gone? Are they still participating? And all of a sudden, as president, you get to make a direct personal contact with someone. So that's a benefit too. Any other roles that anyone is concerned about?
Yeah, Mark, this is a Sharif from Savage. I'm going in the path of showing up once a week for lunch to everybody has something else to do between meetings. So it's a big change. One role I think would be the marketing slash web really presence. Most of the folks are not that savvy,
Mhm.
and there's only so much I can do. So that's really tied into um, age of the people that are coming in and skills and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, websites are very important. I'm a former PI, public image guy, so definitely the websites are vital. The great thing is, there are a variety of the ways that clubs do this, but the bulk of us have what's called club runner websites. And the truth about a club runner website is if you have people doing their jobs, their roles, the website is a breeze because it just keeps fresh things up in front. So, for example, if you have a program person or you are lining up the speakers, if you put those into the speaker tab in the website ahead of time, as soon as you find out about them and you put their description and their bio in there and even a picture in there, then that will feed right up to the homepage so people can come along and see, oh, what do I want to look at? And it can also feed right into the newsletter so that you can see, okay, I'm definitely going to be there in 2 weeks. Who's the speaker? Oh, there it is. That's who's going to be speaking. So, just that collaboration. If there's an event going on, whoop, it goes right into that promotion gets right there front and center on that website as well. So, if people are actually doing their tasks, then it just takes one person to make sure there's nothing outdated on there. And
And,
even that in itself, when things expire, so to say, they drop off. And you can still find them on the website, but they're just not front page news
and
anymore.
that's the challenge. Hardly anybody is using Club Runner, and that's the challenge. So I got to
Uh-huh.
find that. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it can still feed out, even to utilize on another site. And you don't have to use the public facing part of the club runner. We've all got it as part of the district, so we can use the behind the scenes things just to see, oh, well, here's a very structured place where I always know speakers, so I'm not having to go after the program person constantly. Yeah, those are great examples. Anybody else have one more here? A role you're most concerned about filling?
Membership.
Membership. Ah, we like the sound of that when it comes to the district. Membership is so important and always got to be on top of that. And really, the more emphasis in membership, the more members you'll retain because then there's excitement and there's freshness and oh, well, I don't want to leave this club because look at the connections I'm making just by sticking around here. Yeah, yeah. So what? Ha, fill in a few details about membership. What is it an area that's just coasted along, or is it just an area that you've invited people that aren't really receptive?
I think to some degree, um, would be my perception. It's kind of coasted
Okay.
along, and I think like many other clubs, when you compile or combine many of the events that have happened sequentially here year to year, beginning with COVID and just many of the things that perhaps dissuade some folks from participating in these type of things to have even lost sight of them because for a while, right? If you're not engaged in something, then you don't really know that you're not engaged in it because you're not engaged. So finding folks that want to be actively engaged, I think it's probably not too difficult to find folks who just want to come along and not necessarily either want to be engaged or much less try to be a creator of some type of momentum that fall within reasonable expectations, right? Because maybe myself for sure and others sometimes we have lofty goals and lofty beliefs, and then we realize we're still walking on earth. So um, it could just compounded with many
Yeah.
things, and then also depending on what areas one is their club is in, also impacts how many people are actually available, or is it part of the fabric of the community itself? So, amongst other things.
Back when I was membership chair of my club, a long, long time ago, I remember going and talking to one of the people who had left the club, and I said, "So, what's one of the reasons that you didn't think you wanted to be a part of the club?" And it was interesting. The response, "The club's not doing anything." And I thought, what? I'm not getting sleep because so many things the club's doing, and so many places to go. But yet that's the perception. If somebody's not engaged, is they assume there's nothing else going on around them either. So, perception is so important. Excellent.
And perhaps can I add that too? Certainly perception, same line of thinking. Um, One person's view of an engagement is making sandwiches at lunch, at noon, setting up tables wherever you house, like we have done before, or simple things that are hands-on and accomplished quickly within the span of your hour. That's great engagement, right? For some, there, I would imagine the interest is not so much.
Yeah,
They would be more interested in, I don't know, if more consequential or impactful would be appropriate, but larger, bigger
sure.
contributions to the many, many types of different projects. So finding, I guess, who believes what is pertinent to them.
Yeah, yeah, great observations. All right. Well, with that in mind of who a person might be, role especially, let's talk about the ask. Let's talk about how to get people there. So it's really about recruitment. How are we going to recruit people to serve? It begins with understanding, all right, what do we need? What do we want to see happen? What kinds of actions are in front of us? And then aligning that to some passionate people. Who gets excited when you talk about the club, when you talk about pets, when you talk about what you're thinking about doing in the coming year? Who are those people who you think, well, here's a person who wants to make a difference? I just want to remind you, don't be concerned about the skills or expertise. And Sharif, I'm coming back to the website thing. When I was invited to do my first website, I had never done a website before. And it was HTML days, so long before drag and drop and throw a picture here or there. It took 22 steps just to put a picture on a website. That's the way it was. But I quickly figured out how to do it because I was concerned in the first impression the club was making. So look at the heart, and the bottom line is, if it's worth asking, it's worth getting right. In other words, if there's something to be asking, you better be thinking about it so that you're presenting it, you're recruiting with some thoughtfulness in here. So be crystal clear about deciding what you want. What exactly are you looking for? Trying to be so general that you think, well, I don't want a person to feel like they don't have anything to bring to this. So I'll just be general, and then they'll figure something out that sticks with them. No, get specific. They'll get excited about, oh, that's all you need? Yeah, absolutely. I can do that. So clear expectations are vital in the midst of this. That's what they need to hear. The recruitment, I'll say, is always best in person, and I'll go on and I'll say one-on-one. So the best time to recruit, the easiest time to recruit, I'll say that. The easiest time to recruit is right at the end of the meeting. The problem is there's 14 other people standing there. And by you singling out one individual, you've just left 13 out. And they think they're not important in the club anymore. So do it personally. And not only that, it's hard to ask somebody and create a vision, especially if they have somewhere where they need to be, because they're only half listening to you and half thinking about, uh-oh, do I have enough time? And who do I have to call in the car on the way there? And so do it in person and, make an appointment, make this special, make this a one-on-one kind of a time because it's that important. Having the right people is that important. And when you invest in them in that way and show an individual that kind of respect, they'll follow up with it as well. Explain everything. Don't minimize it. Or a busy person, and by the way, the old axiom is true. I don't know if it's axiom or what it is. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Same thing with Rotary, same thing anywhere in your life, in your professional world. 20% of the people are going to do it. So, what is it about those 20 people that's going to make them jump in? If they know exactly what's being asked of them, then they see, oh, this isn't going to waste my time. This is so important. I need to give my time to this, and they'll figure out a way to do that. Now, confirm agreement that it's a needed role. I've been noticing something when it comes to our club. I notice we do these service events, but it's only us. What could we do to invite other people to come alongside? What would help our members know that they can bring other people with them to a service project in the community? Do you think that's a problem? Do you agree? Then listen, see what they say. Then you'll be able to fit them into a specific role around that. And then finally, make the ask. Is this something you can get passionate about? Can you see yourself leading this for me? And it's okay to say for me, because we're all about service above self. It's a part of doing this, and I have this vision, these goals, and I want to make sure that those are comfortable. And then can I count on you to lead this part of my team? So expectations. I typed in Rotary expectations when I was putting this presentation together last week, and here's what someone had up on their website that, it just kind of broke down for their mind. What are these 5 areas that we want to communicate? If you're going to step into this role, here's what you have. I'm going to expect you to be around. You can't just come now and then. You need to be present. And then here's the bigger vision, and here's the strategies and the activities that we're going to be engaged in this year that we need further promotion, or we need more people to do this. And then the metrics, how will we know if we're actually accomplishing something? And then what kind of support can I give to you as a chair? And what will you need from other people? Communicate about those things. So let's come back to it again. You've been turned down by 3 people for your treasurer job. Let's put the treasurer out there. 3 people you've asked. What do you do now? It's your turn. What do you think? Uh, Maybe you've experienced that or seen that, or maybe that's your fear that, oh no, are people really going to accept? And I've already tried a few and they've all said no. What do you do?
Mark, I think I would, instead of asking them something specific, I would ask, knowing where we're headed, where would you like to engage?
Mhm.
Let them make that choice
Okay.
and hear what they're saying. So
So you're taking it from well, they said no, but that's just no to this role. So what
yeah.
else? What else? Okay, that's great. Hmm.
And another one tied to that would be maybe they would say no to being a lead, but maybe they would be willing to be a part with somebody else if somebody else was leading it. Some people are just scared of leading, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Okay.
So
Other ideas about what happens when you're turned down multiple times?
I like your idea. If I'm struggling with the uh, thing that somebody said about getting my president-elect for next time, but doing a dual role of saying, well, what if we get you some help? Do it. If we get two people to do it, would that be work out for you?
Yeah, great, great. Yeah. Overall, just don't be discouraged. We've all been there, and maybe for me, what I usually find is I need to work on my ask a little better. I'm not being clear in what I need, or I'm trying to water it down too much. I did that one time. I remember, I had said that in a board meeting at Rotary as I'm trying to get people on my team, but nobody wants to do it. And one of the leaders around the table said, ask for more. I said, what do you mean ask for more? You're not asking for enough. They're people who are holding out for doing something big. They don't want to do a little piddly thing. They want to do something that's really going to have an impact. And so I added a big responsibility list to what I needed people to do. Next person I asked, oh, yeah, I'll be happy to do that. I would have never guessed that that would be true. Okay, now flip it the other way. Same person's been doing the job for 8 years and nobody will touch it because they've been doing it. Yeah, nobody else knows how to sign a check in our club. So how could we get anybody else? We'll step on that poor person's toes. Um, any experience in something like this? Is this a concern for you?
I
Do you
was
have
really
any
worried about it.
floods?
Um, we had several positions on the board that I thought it was time to refresh. So I asked my friend Leif, how do I fire these people? And he had a great phrase that I've used multiple times already, and it's I'd like to give opportunities to the new members to be part to do this job, or offering opportunities for others.
Beautiful.
And thank you for everything you've done. And so far, everyone has handled it really well. I was worried. The biggest one I was worried about at the last meeting was like, yay, I'm not doing the job anymore. And I thought he was going to be one who just gave me problems. But when you say I want to offer opportunities to other, it seemed to be the magic phrase.
Hmm. You know what's a great friend of people who have been around for 8 years? It's called a color printer. All you have to do is put a little thank you note together. And on the day that you, as an incoming president, reveal your team, before you get to your team, start out by saying, I want to recognize some of the people who have done this, and maybe use the outgoing president by your side. Recognize them, celebrate them, say, and do some research. Thank you. You've done this for 6 years. We appreciate this. And then you can roll out now, here's some of the new people, and I want to introduce you to them. And I want to ask you to help them because they've got a huge task ahead of them. And, it becomes a celebration rather than a curse of people stuck in their ways, who have become the naysayers to everything. All right, well, let's think a little bit about empowering then, the next part of this. Empowering, and this is really about delegating. That's another word for delegating. How do you delegate? Delegating, just a simple definition, transferring responsibility. You are now responsible for this. There is no such thing as delegation without turning over responsibility. So remember that. You can't say, well, help me with this, but I'm going to keep my hands in it. That rarely works. Establish clear communication. Here's what I again need you to do. Here's I need you to think about this, to come up with an idea, to work with a couple other people, and then bring it back. And either I'll have you come talk to the leaders, or you can tell me about it and present it, in a format that I can take on to the leaders. But you're asking for them to deliver on it. And then, delegation for us as presidents, I'll tell you something that Tom Gump said to me yesterday morning. He said, Mark, no one can do it as well as you can, but get over yourself. In other words, we go into this thinking, well, it'll be so much faster if I just do this myself. I mean, I know exactly what I want, and I'm a perfectionist, and I know how I want this to look, so I'll just do this. No, if you allow someone else to have that joy of doing it, it's great. It's fantastic. So we can do more than we can do alone. That's what delegating is about. And why, how? Well, it's freeing up your time as the leader. If you delegate, you get more time to do the next big thing, not just to keep the club going, but to take the club to the next level. And that's when you'll truly be a leader with people who want to follow you. And then how one of the huge aspects of delegating is give credit where it's due. Always be a person who looks around the room and says, "Hey, I want to tell you this week, Sue has been outstanding in her efforts, and I just want to to recognize the fact that you all give so much for this club, and you do so much on your own time, and Sue, what did you accomplish this week? Tell us a little bit about that. You've been working really hard on this project. What should we expect?" And give Sue a chance to do that. So again, that's the transfer of responsibility. Now she becomes the communicator. You don't have to communicate about it. You're just admiring it. You're recognizing it. Here are some other aspects of delegation, the failures. Never let it be said out of your or heard out of your mouth, I told him to do it. Mm. I sent her an email. Mm. I don't know what happened. Mm. He hasn't done anything. Uh, this is what you call the four-way test for the Rotary Club president. Is it fair to all concerned? Is it beneficial to all concerned? Right along the line. Yeah, don't do that to the people you've invited to be part of your team. And then what does successful delegation look like? Here's what I'm asking you to do. Have you heard me say that 18 times already today? Here's what I'm asking you to do. Uh, and then tomorrow, here's what I'm asking you. And next week at the meeting, here's what I'm asking you to do. Keep doing that. And by the way, what do you need to do this? What could I provide for you? Do you need another person? What do you need some resources? Do you need some answers? What do you need? Here's how we'll know we're making progress. Do you agree? And that's a great check-in point that, hey, last month I asked you to do this. So you've been thinking about it a little bit. So now tell me how are we going to know when we get there? What's it going to look like? Here's what I think will show we've made progress on this. Do you agree? And then let them say, yeah, but that's too small. I want to take this bigger. Beautiful, beautiful. If you get that person on that, the same way, so what does success look like? Bottom line, delegating isn't easy, and it's a leadership skill that you need to practice. Just keep practicing it again and again and again. And if you've done this successfully with someone, that was so last week. You need to do it over with them again because delegating doesn't say, I'm done with it. I don't need to ever think about this again. No, no, that's not what delegating is. That's throwing responsibility at other people without a sense of how it fits in. But you have to keep at this over and over again. There's no such thing as a person I have ever met who said, "Do you know, I got too many thank you notes in my life. Too many people told me thank you." Doesn't happen. All right, so there's some good things and some bad things about delegating. Without any names, without any context, just have you had a bad experience with a leader? I mean, have you worked for a leader who is bad? Have you followed a leader in a volunteer organization that didn't do it? And if so, what broke down? What did you need? What was missing?
I had one where the organization lead, um, I felt was could not delegate, had to be in control. It was about power, and so much so where this person would be controlling just about everything. And people were scared to speak up. And ultimately, the organization was stymied for growth.
Yeah, that hurts. And it's hard to watch that happen. Yeah.
I'll give you one from a professional setting. Was my immediate supervisor who just had to take credit for everything. And so they were extremely good at managing up, but in terms of treating the people that reported to them, they were absolutely dismal. And what they weren't smart enough to realize is when the people under you are rock stars, you get the credit. It's so she was really screwing herself by not um, giving credit where credit is due.
And it's not that hard to do when someone says, "Hey, this is really going well." Just think for a minute. Who are two people who helped to make this go well? That's as simple as it is. Well, did you know that Tina has been making phone calls? Did you know that John has been showing up really early to prepare things before anybody gets here? That's that's a joy. Does it take credit away from you? No, it shows the team is there. Yeah, great example, Guy. Yeah. All right, well, let's keep going. We're on to accountability here, and accountability. I tried to find that little moment of how can we make accountability make sense. And this is the best I saw. You can expect what you inspect. You can expect what you inspect. What does that look like? Deadlines. Are there deadlines? Do people know what the deadlines are? When do you need this by? Are there measurables? This is how we'll be able to evaluate it and know if we're really getting there. Um, Progress reports. Hey, do you know a week from Thursday is our club board meeting? I'd love to give an update on this. Could you email me a paragraph about how it's going? And then what happens is I'm one, this is my biggest procrastination thing, which is sending reports out, and reporting back to people. But every single time I do it, I'm like, wow, look at how much has already happened. Look at the progress we've made just because I sat for 5 minutes and gave some consideration to what's been going on. Help them stay on track. If somebody gets off track, don't beat them up about it. Just point them to a brighter future. And when someone gets off track, I was gone for 3 weeks. I was gone on this big work project, and I have no idea what's going on Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Well, let's talk about that next Tuesday, and I'll get you up to speed with what's been going on around here. And all of a sudden, they're re-engaged all over again. Sitting on some committee meetings. Don't go to everyone, but say, hey, is there a good time? I see your committee is going to get together after the meeting next week. Would this be a good one for me to show up at, or let me know when you want me to come? I'd be happy to do that. Makes a big difference. Well, and here's the bottom line. They want to be successful, and so do you. And accountability is the tool that will get your club there. So, name a Rotary leader you've appreciated working beside. I've given you some negative things to share. Now I want to give you a positive thing. Who in Rotary has really shined for you? It doesn't have to be a president. It could just be a person who invited you in to doing something.
It's pretty quiet out there. This is Jack Gibbons, and I just transferred to the Wyzetta Club. And I kept asking all these same questions of the board because I was put on the board the second meeting I arrived at the club. And I'm now sharing the president's job, but my favorite person that I have enjoyed working with is past district governor Mike Mullen.
Ah,
I was president of the St. Cloud Club the year before he became president. That was way back in 1989. And Mike had
so,
a
so what
lot.
did you appreciate? What did they do that you still remember?
The skill that Mike had was organization.
Nice,
He knew just how to delegate and do everything just perfectly.
nice. Yeah. Who else has a Rotary person that stands out?
Mark, this is Doug and Wilmer.
Yeah.
And my Rotary person, he's not with us anymore, but it's Bruce Hedblum. And you maybe remember him from one of the organizations in the Twin Cities. And he and I worked together on Rotary, but we also worked together in the military side of the house too. His skill was accountability. And he held me accountable all the time for whatever project we were working on. He had a good way of doing it. You didn't feel badly about it when he called. I always wanted to ensure that I was getting things on time for him and up to his standard. And so he was a great leader in that respect, and he just really encouraged us along the way.
Great. Yeah. Anybody else have one more person here?
Well, mine would be two, is that our past president and current president have both been very helpful in helping to prepare me for the coming year. I mean, we meet every 2 weeks. We go over where the club is, where we want it to go. And so the continuity is been very helpful.
Nice. Excellent. Well, what about coaching? This is our last piece of things. Coaching is really about self-discovery, if you want to take it down. Coaching is different than other types of management, if you will. It's providing some guidance. It's providing feedback when you're asked to provide feedback and support. It's not about advice. It's about asking questions. And asking good questions is vital. Um, but really, a good coach doesn't talk that much. They don't say that much. They do a lot of listening. This is an individual who shows them how to do it, or you find someone who can show them how to do it. Show them. Don't tell them. Show them. Let them see what's going on. Watch them do it, and then, as a coach, provide a little feedback, a little encouragement. Heavy on the encouragement, light on the criticism. Yeah, that's what they need. So ultimately, coaching is helping them learn rather than teaching them. Uh, Coaching is about unlocking potential. Everybody's got potential. They just might do it differently than you do. And that's the diversity of Rotary. Coach encourages innovation. Coach encourages creativity. Well, yeah, do it the way you think would be best. Coach guides through failure. Coach builds a strong team and helps everyone win. And here you go. A coach is your partner, your advocate, your champion. So, who's someone who's coached you? I had a life coach. His name's Wayne, and lives down in Wilmington, over in the Carolinas. And we talked sometimes in person, usually on the phone. We discovered, we were doing that long before Zoom was ever a household word. And he's moved on, and he's kind of at that retirement stage of life. But it's interesting. Every time something remarkable happens, the first thing I do is I send a text to Wayne. I just want him to know, because he just built me up so much that I think about his guidance and his questions. What would Wayne have asked me to do in this situation? It's really great. Is there someone like that you've had? Can be in the Rotary world, or maybe even professionally for you, that you've benefited from, and what was about their approach?
Well, I had a coach called, name is Frank Devlin, past president of Rotary, year 2000, 2001. I moved back to Minnesota in 2002 from Nevada, and I have met him many times since over the years at that time, and he was my best coach in determining how to spread the district foundation giving through District 5960.
Mm.
And they were way at the bottom. And so when I was in Nevada, we had very nice tools, and Frank helped me guide me through those. And when I moved to Minnesota, back to Minnesota, he was right there helping me. And that's when we developed the Paul Harris Fellowship here in the 5950.
Nice.
And I was chairman of that for 8 years, and felt really good about it because Frank was always there giving me help.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got coaches around you. You can usually identify them by the people who ask the most questions. And a good question asker is a person you need to spend a lot of time with. And if you can learn to ask questions, you'll be unstoppable as a leader. All right, we got 4 minutes. We got four roles, um, responsibilities to do. So first of all, once you're identifying leaders, let's get them some support. Let's get them connected to other leaders in this area. So in My Rotary, as you go there, and if you have not figured out how to do this, just give it a try. There's lots of tools out on My Rotary, that will get you there. Just go to rotary.org. Up in the top is My Rotary. Dig on in. You'll have information about your club. You're able to do a lot as a president-elect. You probably won't be able to do much to the current year, but next year is 100% open for you. And so, as long as Rotary, you've been identified by your club to Rotary as the president-elect, you can do anything. So you would come along. My club is Minnesota Veteran, so I click on that, and then here's Manage Club Officers, and this is the upcoming year. And as you can see, there's not a club foundation chair that is assigned, and there's 11 different roles, and what will that look like? So you can enter him, hit the little plus, you can assign that. It will find that individual in the Rotary records. While you're at it, for your club leaders, make sure their email is their current email, or else Rotary won't be able to communicate with them. You can also do this in Club Runner. We've got the new Club Runner uh, Nova, if you will. So it's shown by dark blue down the left side, but largely it's all the same, but it's faster and more intuitive. So it's even better. But either way, new Nova or old Club Runner, you can do the same thing. You just edit, you can add a different person, but up at the top there, make sure it's the correct year. Very important thing
Mhm.
to do, and just fill out your team. All right, so here are some next steps. Build your team. Yeah, like we've talked about, be very clear what you need and identify some people. They're already there. You just need to ask them. Second, gather your team. And we're going to help you with that. The district club assembly is coming up April 26th, so a couple Saturdays from now. In fact, we are not going to do originally in November, we had scheduled the another one of these PE preps. Well, this is going to take the place of that, and it was going to be about leadership, so even better. And we've got a team of amazing people who are going to talk about team, who are going to talk about getting things done, executing, and it's going to be grand. So implementation is the key word. Who should be there? Anybody who you want to empower. That's the simple answer. Get your current president there. Why not? Let him celebrate and hand things off to you. Will The great thing about this is not going to be, well, I need to go and figure out how to be a club secretary. This isn't it. Learning centers where to go for that. This is going to say, how does a club secretary work with other people in the club, and how does the club secretary help achieve the goals that have been set? That's what we're going to provide. So excellent keynotes, results driven. We can't wait to do that. Wonderful breakouts. And what will set each person up for success. Bottom line is working together. That's what's essential. And yeah, you don't have to pay anything. It's part of the dues structure, unless you like to eat a lot. We'll have food trucks, similarly what we did in the fall
Mhm.
at base camp, and that'll be, you can just go out and choose what you want to eat, but everything else is taken care of. There's no cost to that. Third thing out of four here, seek club affirmation. Once you have individuals identified, then get the club to affirm them, not to approve them. Your officers have to be elected. They have to be approved. And I'm coming from the assumption that has happened. If it hasn't, it's okay. Just get it done quickly with your current president to say, okay, we have to have officers who are elected. You know, that secretary, treasurer, president, president-elect, those folks, they're your officers. But then your team, your chairs, it's so great to have the club affirm them. And that's what I was talking about. Print some certificates for those who are finished. Work with your current president to recognize them, thank them, and then you get to present your new team. Here's who they are, and make it a celebration. Cheer for them. Get a standing ovation for them. That will be contagious. And then, like I said, add the team to the database. So I just want to come back and say that one more time. This is really important. I would say I've got a great person, Mitty. You might have met her. She's a virtual assistant. She's got 56 of my club visits set up, which has enabled me to do all kinds of other things like hunt for president-elects and try to figure out who you all are. And I'm probably 10 hours into that process of trying to determine. And half are just, oh, well, I didn't know you had to report it to Rotary. Yeah, well, you do. You need to, one way or another, and then we can get that information. So we'll help you if you have no clue what that is. But I just showed you real quickly My Rotary or through Club Runner, because we all have access to Club Runner as district clubs.
Hey,
So
Mark, I got a question for you.
yeah,
How do we get a hold of MIDI as an assistant governor to find out when you're going to be at the clubs that we are responsible for so that we can be there with you?
yes, we should probably have that ready to go for the AGs within the next I would say by mid-May we'll have them all set. Actually, interestingly, my first club visit is to DTCT, Dakota Technical College, because they're going to wrap up for the year and they have their big chili cook-off. And they said, well, the best thing the governor could do is bring a pot of chili for a bunch of students. So I'm going there Thursday. And but Alexa is already putting those on our calendar as well. So if you keep looking at the district calendar, it will say, here's where the district governor will be.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. So our next meeting together like this will be Saturday, May 10th. I will get things out. Thanks for your patience on this last one. I was pretty slow in getting recordings out to you, but now you have them and you have a month before our next one. This will be about membership and the unique way the president can connect with members. So I'm really going to be looking for some of your ideas, what you've thought, and I'll just give you a little jump start on that is right now you'll have more time to connect with other club members than anywhere else along the road as president. So take advantage of these times. Start sitting at different places in meetings and talking to different members and learn some of their stories because it's all about doing together what can't be done alone. That's what we do. So there we are, the wonders of team. And thank you so much for joining in. I hope I gave you a few nuggets of information that will be worthwhile. Hey, you guys are the greatest. Thank you. Keep asking questions. Get to know your AGs. If I irritated you by something I said, that's good. That's my job. I want to push you and nudge you and make you uncomfortable because then you'll figure it out for yourself and it'll be so much better because I'm going to show that Shockey, know what he's talking about. And I'll celebrate with you when that moment comes. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a
Very
great
Thanks,
helpful.
Mark.
Saturday.